we are very pleased to welcome you on this virtual table on the Design Conversations. And we had 2 weeks ago the pleasure and the honor to welcome 250 participants in person and more than 500 followers on the Cumulus Design Conversations. It was an event mixing education's professional and education and educators and professional. And it was important to do that event because we were welcoming the Cumulus World Conference at Nantes. And design is now challenged by climate change and artificial intelligence. And we had more than 17 speakers, professionals, educators. And the question was how design has to evolve. How might we take up the challenge of AI, the challenge of climate, and how will we do that? And we had some takeaway, and I would like to share with you, Gilles, and to ask you if you can share, sorry, your takeaway on that conference because we were organizing that together.
Thank you, Florent. Hi, everyone. Nice to be with you today. Of course, there has been a lot of takeaways coming from this discussion. If I had to pick one, in the quite brutal world we are living, you know that, yeah, lots of facts, even science, democracy, whatever, are at stake. I really found interesting what Clara Bove from AXA, an insurance company, stressed, saying that probably in terms of ethics, potential and power from the designer's point of view, it could come from feeling comfortable with the uncomfortable. And we are generally saying that designers see opportunities in risks, whether the others, generally speaking, want to mitigate them. And I think this is very interesting as a point, but I would really like to listen to comments and reactions, of course. And what about you, Florent? I'm sure you also picked up some interesting takeaway.
Yeah, there is one takeaway for me, which is about AI, in fact, because AI is often seen as a threat for design and for intellectual property, etc. And before I saw threats, and now I saw like big opportunities, which is very interesting. For example, Quentin Lepape talk about design as the responsibility to shape correct way on AI, to shape the way we interact with AI. And it was the same for Orange or so what. In fact, there were like unanimous to say that we have the responsibility as designer to make AI responsible. And this is very, very interesting to see what is the role of AI to articulate, in fact, like an associate said, AI with human capacity. This was, for me, my main takeaway, with also the question of right design more than good design. But it was your concept, Gilles.
Yeah, I'm sure this is something interesting to be discussed by everyone. This what I call right design. In fact, as you know, during the last century, among the design community and also the companies, the key motto was good design. Good design is good business. Good design is maybe a number of principles for designers to be applied in order to be ethically, socially, and also economically interesting. In my opinion, we are entering an age where we have to define collectively what I call right design, aiming at having, of course, positive impacts in the world we are living in with so many constraints. So thinking locally and not only at a worldwide level, with the local stakeholders to have relevant proposals and designs, to be as fair as possible, as inclusive as possible, to help regenerate the planet we are living in instead of just trying to develop what we call user-centric design. That's why I aimed by putting the word right design on the table. This is an invitation for everyone to discuss that. And I know that some other speakers, they had some interesting expressions, I think quite related to that. For Cathy Cotellan from Saint-Gobain, designers could be seen as a system shaper. If you have meanings as a first step in your design thinking. For Emmanuel Toin, it deals with being maybe caretakers. So that's why I suggested to be discussed.
And what is interesting also is that design is shaping new value creation models. And in fact, this was the concept of new values like sustainability, but also taking society or culture. And this is also maybe the responsibility of designers, which is also one of the most important thing as ethical leadership. And we encourage the designers to take that in consideration and maybe to have the courage to bring this around the table. But is it possible to do that? And of course, the designer will have to make some choices and to bring new choices around the table, which is important. This is maybe more the influence than leadership. This was an open question also.
No, I totally agree with you. I think that, in fact, we have some key challenges in front of us. One is if we want to be bold, to set examples, we have to talk to the right person in order to have influence, to have impacts, as you said, which is not that easy. So, for example, Srinivasa and Joseph Price, they stress the fact that we have to be in a capacity to make informed choices. If we want to have arguments for that, we need methodologies, we need tools, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary ones. This is an invitation to work all together, to have the right arguments to help everyone make the right informed decisions.
Yes, because design asks sometimes the right question because you start from the users, you start from the context, you start from the different dimensions, social dimension, ecological, and design creates also enables people to see new alternatives, and it enables new mental models, etc., which is also one of the power of design. But we have still big challenges on that because in education, absolutely, we need to be ready for that. And I think this is a challenge for educators like us.
I think this is a challenge for everyone, but you are true in my opinion. Dealing with the I don't know if you've seen the last report from the World Economic Forum about the future skills for the 5 years to come. It was amazing for me to identify that there was only one mention of design and user experience among all the skills. But in fact, if you go deeper in it, you see that there is about 20 skills that are stressed that are really closely related to design. So for design education in the future, and I think you will have more, I would say, insights by the following video. But yeah, this is just, I think, collectively a few food for thought we together, Florent, put on the table following this conversation. And we really invite everyone to make comments, discuss, agree, disagree, but feed the conversations in order to go maybe to a very well-defined and influential right design.
Yeah, we will see what will be the design leadership and maybe how to put some education at its best to make a new generation of design leaders. Let's
We
see
need you.
how it works. We need everyone.
Exactly. It was a pleasure being there.
Yeah, see you later and hope you will enjoy this presentation.
Thank you. It's time to go to the final question. Design education across continents. So we will ask for some witnesses, big witnesses, if I can say so. We have the chance to have with us, and I ask you to welcome Christian Guellerin, directeur de l'École de Design Nantes Atlantique, Yonchi Lu from Tongji University, and Fabienne Munch, Ohio State University. Please, welcome. Yeah, I will. I'll be there. So, thank you very much. We have now, you have the responsibility to close this panel. And this day, it was really fantastic to prepare this, this with you all. And this is about design and education. So you are like very influential person in education, in the world of education across continent. And I want to hear you. What are the challenges on education? What are the different challenges? And what are your feedbacks on what you have heard of? So maybe first, Fabienne, first feedback, Fabienne from Ohio State University.
Well, we heard a lot of the other side of the implementation of design education, and it transpired a few elements that we feel as educator. I think design education has done a pretty good job at providing technical skills and scaffolding the skills from sketching to computer modelization to now asking the computer to do something on our behalf. So we're not too bad there. Where I think the challenges are is the part that sometimes we call soft skills. I like to call them social skills of students. Preparing for entering this world, and we heard a lot about what awaits them, preparing them to actually advocate for their design. We too often, when we critique their project, we tell them how they could do this better or how they did not include this dimension of the problematic. But I think we're not good enough at helping them build self-confidence in how they're going to advocate, in how they're going to make choice, and sit in front of a decision maker and say, this is what I would recommend you do. They too often talk about their process. This is how I started to do this. Nobody cares. I mean, maybe in school you do care, right? Because we want to make sure that the process has rigor, integrity, creativity. The moment you get out there in the world, it's about making choices, and the best possible choices that are within your understanding of the situation. So that's one, advocacy. I think we need to be better at making them advocate of their choices. And then collaboration. We do collaboration. I'm sure in all our institutions we have moments of collaboration around projects. Being project-based is definitely an asset for designers, because I think this is where the structure of organization is aiming toward, being driven by project as opposed to a vertical hierarchy. But be true collaborator, meaning hearing what others say, do active listening in how what those experts are saying is going to enrich the way you're going to start designing solution. Don't try to be experts. I was listening to, whether you like him or not, but I was listening to something that Don Norman was saying a few weeks ago. Designers know nothing. And actually, I didn't like it first, but then I think, after all, we're not the knowledge bearer. We're not. We need to find the experts that we are going to surround ourselves with to actually work together towards crafting the solution to the situation.
But Fabienne, we are far from the applied art tradition.
Oh. The applied arts provide the technical skills and the project base, and working as with your professors as, maybe we don't call them masters anymore because it doesn't have a good connotation, but they are actually working with the students in activating those aspects of the design process. So you need those technical skills, but yes, it's not enough. We need science, we need social skills, and I think we need also cultural intelligence, which goes with the collaboration. So I'll stop here.
Maybe a next question to Yonchi. We talked yesterday about this fantastic experience that you do in Shanghai and in this new school, so to say, this approach of Swiss. Can you tell me more about this? Tell us more.
Okay, so I'd like to first, before talking about what I'm doing, so I think that I'd like to follow up with what Fabienne said. And I think that one of the biggest challenges for design education is we change too slow. The society and economy actually evolving much faster than design education. And there's a war between our education, not only design, the whole higher education system and the society. Economy, like, and the society, the ecology, which is not part of the design education system. So in some way, Don said something correctly, but also I think that's important. Even Don is important design thinker, but there is some part of design which beyond his knowledge. For instance, Don knows little about the beauty. Okay, come back to my role. So actually, I saw that still in the screen that introduced me like a vice president of Tongji University. I think I'm a Cumulus old family member. I've been 9 years as a dean of College of Design and Innovation at Tongji University, and then I shifted to become the vice president of Tongji University. I worked for that position for 4.5 years, until 1.5 months ago, I stepped down from the vice president of Tongji University, and now I have a new role. I'm the president of Shanghai University of Engineering Science, and that's a huge university. 25,000 students, more than 3,000 faculties. So it's a very, for me, I think that look at my career development. It's always related to design, but I implement design in different scale. First, the design school, then second, as a vice president of a comprehensive university, and then the president of a comprehensive university. So now my role is how to connect design, engineering, and the business. And that university has a 40 years history, but they spent 40 years to build 3 wings: engineering, design, and a business. But they put the 3 wings in 3 different warehouses. So my role is, my job actually very simple. First, put them together, and then rotate them. So in this way, I think that the best scenario is how to use the city, in my case, is the city of Shanghai, to become the best ever university. So the students will learn from the city, immersively learn from the city. So in this way, how to blur the boundaries between the universities, cities, between the university and the cities, among the different disciplines, between the industries and the academia, and between the human and the ecology. I think this will be the main strategy. Maybe I stop here, I can elaborate later.
Christian,
So you have Shanghai and you have Nantes. And okay, all right. And Nantes is the center of the world, but only for 3 days. So, okay. And 15 years ago, we decided to totally change our curriculum here in Nantes. We decided that bachelors were dedicated to skills, applied art skills. I mean, you need to learn, definitely, and to make the difference, to have specific skills compared with the engineers or with the business people and so on. And the master's system is dedicated to complex, systemic thematics. And the purpose was to mix the different skills, product, interior architecture, graphism, digital, and make them work together, definitely, on those topics that concern the world, food design, city, care, and so on. It was a choice. It was not done very much in the School of Design at that time. Now, all of you have that in a way. And, but we are not definitely satisfied of what we are doing. We have a problem here, and I'm a little bit fed up at the moment that, 80% of the idea, the concept produced in those programs and goes directly to the garbage after the final jury. Because it's very difficult to make our students become entrepreneurs of their own idea. They produce the idea, they represent some concept, and sometimes it's very clever, but very few of them go further. Let me give you an example. We have final project, and we have, for example, a guy coming from product design. He is going to draw some bicycle, he is going to produce some maquettes and so on. And final jury, this is my job. And the jury, yes, it's very clever, whatever. But it's not a bicycle, it's a piece of paper. We have to go further. We have to work with more and more companies to make understand to our students that they have to prototype their ideas. And we are going to try to set up some spatial relationship with company to handle with the final project, for example. We need our students to become much more entrepreneur because they have a responsibility. It's not to represent the world, it's to build it, definitely. So they have to go, we have to go further. It's not enough to imagine and to represent. We need to build. This is first point. And probably the next step in our development, in our strategy, will be to hybrid the discipline. What we want to do is to try to constitute some teams with engineer and designer to handle the final projects. To make the discipline entering in resonance, to go further, to be enriched by the culture of the others. Why we have decided to deal with ethical leadership? Because as I said yesterday, I do feel the responsibility of the designer is to be capable, and this is soft skill, to share with the others and make them work together. This is our responsibility. This is leadership. 15 years ago, I wrote an article, the new School of Design, New School of Management. You can imagine that it was very controversial, of course, and so on. And I had some phone calls from the business schools and so on. So whatever. Okay, all right. But I do feel I'm totally convinced we are the new school of management. Not new school of business, new school of management of project. We have this responsibility. And thanks to the fact that we have two major shifts of context, ecology, We need to help the companies, the society, the whole society to conceive, to produce, to sell totally differently. As I said yesterday, we have to pass from the society of consumption to a society of contribution, which is totally different. Probably many companies, and our students need to be aware of that. Many companies will be obliged because we have to save the resources to pass from product to services. But we need our students to understand that. So they need to learn strategy, to understand that the generation of added value, this is economy, this is business, to pass by the fact that tomorrow more and more companies will be obliged to sell some services, ecology, and so artificial intelligence, you know. It's terrifying, but we have to be enthusiastic because we have no choice, first, and maybe it's the occasion to reinvent the world of tomorrow. I mean, we were talking about the numerical, I don't know if we say that in numeric?
Digital twin?
Digital twin, okay, all right. I didn't know, I know the word in French, of course, but okay, all right. This is totally terrifying. But it's the occasion to generate added value totally differently. And we are sat on that, so we have to keep technical skills, and we have to enter in a new era thanks to those two shifts of context.
And the designer is the center, could be like a key in the in these two new contexts, Fabienne?
Well, there's a lot of colleagues in the United States who quote the role of designers as facilitators. You hear that a lot on the West Coast and in a lot of other contexts. So it's possibly what you're saying, right? But it's not facilitator like what you're doing, Florent, right? It's really about diving in the brain of others and understand how they function. That's facilitation, because when I was talking about active learning earlier, is not just stay at the layer at which people want to take you when you have a focus group or when you do participatory design. It's really about this design process that we apply to what's happening in the group. So it's facilitation in order to extract what is said. Somebody was talking about creativity earlier, extract some creative ideas, and then with the design process, advance them to something that we can build, something we can prototype, something we can test. So I think that's that. But I'd like to say later something about design research, because I really like what was said earlier about that.
Leadership or facilitator?
You know, that's when you get into personality traits. Not every design student today will be a leader. And there will be a fan of opportunity for them to have a good life, to do design, and to impact society. So leadership is something super difficult, super demanding. You work 90 hours a week and you still don't get everything done that you wanted. So it's difficult, and it's extremely demanding on your personal life. And I think for the current generation, who are very focused on their work-life balance, it's a choice. And you can decide not to be a leader and be a good designer.
Yongchi,
Yes.
go back on your experience.
Yes, I think that the design-led interdisciplinary innovation is one of the most beautiful fairy tales among the design society. But I always interpret in this way. So you know that in China, we always host a dinner. It's different. You know, if somebody hosts dinner, and he's supposed to pay, right? And when you host a dinner, a meal, and you will automatically be the leader, right? So I think that we need to encourage designers to host a meal, a dinner. But at the same time, designer And we should be motivated to join the dinner somebody else hosted. Engineers, business. So in this way, you'll become a part of the community. So I think this is important. It's inclusiveness. And also, if we talk about the big challenges I mentioned before, the society changed much faster than the design schools. So we need to catch up. But at the same time, I think that, as Christian also mentioned that, it's possible for designers to be the real engine for the next economy, for instance. Before we talk about why Bauhaus was such a great movement, because Bauhaus connected to the Industrial Revolution. But Bauhaus was not the result of the, not the cause, sorry. Bauhaus actually was a result of the Industrial Revolution, but not the cause of the Industrial Revolution. But there's now possibility. What will be the next economy? I always say that the next economy, at least a part of the scenarios, will be the economy of repairing the Earth, repairing the planet. Because look back, most powerful economy after the Industrial Revolution, all infrastructure related. But the different era, the meaning of infrastructure actually was different. It's coal, oil, steel, right, and train, cars, right, internet, nowadays AI, computing powers. But now, if the environment capacity, we can see the ceiling. So we have to fix repairing the planet in a high speed, larger scale, professional way. That's the industry. So can design be a cause of this kind of economy? So this is something that I think that I hope that the more and more design schools, designers, to think about that. But when we say designers, it's not only the students get education from the design school. I think it should be in a much broader sense.
Thank you. Maybe one last word, Fabienne, to conclude.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about design research because the first panel was talking about PhDs, and I think the value of a PhD in design is that you're going to go very deep into a subject matter, and then you can be an expert, yes. And then it's not only the title, but it's also the fact that you have applied rigor and read a lot and tested a lot ideas, and then you become a voice. Again, there is a spectrum there, and in my department, all students take 2 design research collaborative studio in their 3rd and 4th year, the 2nd and 3rd year, sorry. It is extremely important that they understand that if they are in touch with the field, if they're in touch with people, that is giving them some elements of conversation that are going to ground their advocacy, that are going to ground their project. And when somebody was saying earlier, it's very frustrating that I'm not given the resources I want as a designer in my big organization. Well, when you bring something that's knowledge-based, knowledge, not ideas. I agree, ideas is everybody. Ideas have 0 value, 0 market value. But knowledge that you've constructed through your effort in design research, then you're going to surprise your CEO. Then you're going to surprise the executive committee. That's the way designers are going to be much more impactful in organization when they say something to those people, and particularly in France, where they're all coming from big engineering schools and ENA and whatnot, even if it doesn't exist, they're still around. They know a lot. So designer can bring them something they don't know. And that's how you're going to be impactful.
One last word, Christian.
Yeah.
What is the main takeaway?
Let me, about research and so on. And in 2012, we were in Shanghai, right? You remember? And we had a meeting with I had a meeting with Ezio and Lou, and Ezio and Lou they are at the origin of DESIS. I mean, 10. Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, all right. And DESIS, you know, social innovation. It has been, I mean, it has known a huge success everywhere. Many researchers, many theses and so on, everywhere in the world. Really, the idea and what has been done with DESIS is totally incredible. Ezio, Lou, I mean, they are the founders of DESIS. But at the same time, in the School of Design, we have not been capable to produce mayors, ministries, director of region, and so on, to use all the research that has been done in social innovation. And this is a problem. This is a problem. I don't know which ambition we may have, but if you want to have an impact, you need, in a way, to have the key of the power. No politician are designers. No politician are designers. In France, sure. But who have the key of the power? Normally, from DESIS and this huge stream of research, it should emerge some designers who say, I am the mayor of the town because I am a designer. And we have not been capable to do that. And it's time to do that. I do feel it's time for design and designer.
Thank you very much, Christian. This is the... Thank you. I want to get... Thank you very much for all the speakers for this conclusion in education. You can, yeah. Thank you. It was really inspiring.